Thank you. I'm Mr. Lehner, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Mr. Lehner's Math Extravaganza. In today's episode, we're going to focus on how to solve multiplication equations. Let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right into it. When taking a look at multiplication equations, in this equation, 3x equals 12. The number 3 is what we call a coefficient of x. 3 is the coefficient of x because it is the number by which x is multiplied. So in other words, anytime you have a number next to the variable, this number is going to be the coefficient because that's the number you're going to multiply by. To solve a multiplication equation, you're going to use division. Anytime there's that number against that variable, we know what that stands for, multiplication, so we would use the inverse operation, which is division. This is very similar to adding and subtracting equations as well. When we had an equation like 3 plus y equals 12, we would have to get y by itself. We're going to do the same thing here with 3x equals 12. Our goal is to still get our variable by itself, only now we're going to use division to do that. Okay. In this problem, I'm still going to start by drawing my line right down the center of my equal sign. I'm still going to break this up into two parts. Now, since this is multiplication with 3 next to the x, I must use division to solve this. So I have to divide by 3. 3 divided by 3 becomes 1, or in this case it would just leave us with x. What I do to one side, I must do to the other side. So on this side, the 12 is going to be divided by 3. So 12 divided by 3 would become 4. Again, I'm going to plug my x back in to check my answer. If I think that x is 4, 3 times 4 would be 12, and that would equal 12, so I know that I've done this equation the correct way. Let's try a couple more examples. In our two examples up here, our first example, we have 7h equals negative 35. And in our second example, we have negative 2g equals negative 22. So now we're kind of working with positive and negative integers. I'll give you guys a helpful hint on how to solve these. Don't get so worried about whether it should be negative or positive. We'll get to that at the end. Alright, so let's follow our same system. I'm going to draw my line down the middle. Now it's 7h, that stands for multiplication. I have to do the inverse operation. So I have to divide. I'm going to divide this side by 7, which leaves me with h. I'm going to divide this side by 7. 35 divided by 7 becomes 5. Now in this problem, there's a negative integer in there. Anytime I have a negative and a positive, my answer is going to be negative. So this one's going to become a negative 5. So if I plug it back in, let's try that. A positive 7 times a negative 5 is going to equal negative 35. So I know that I've done this problem correctly. Let's take a look at our problem on this side. In this problem, we have two negative numbers. So negative 2g equals negative 22. I'm going to draw that line down the middle. Now, I need to still divide on this side. Only now I'm dividing by a negative 2. Because a negative 2 divided by a negative 2 is going to leave you with a positive 1, or in this case, the letter g. What I do to this side of the problem, I must do to this side. So if I divided that side by negative 2, I must divide this side by negative 2. Now again, don't worry about this negative sign until the end. 22 divided by 2 would become 11. If I have a negative and a negative, my answer is going to become positive. So if I think that g should equal 11, let's plug it back in. Negative 2 times a positive 11 would equal a negative 22. Now when doing these problems, an easy way to check yourself, well, I didn't know if it should be a negative 11 or a positive 11. If I thought the answer was negative 11, let's plug it back in. Negative 2 times negative 11 would be a positive 22. So I would have known that I had made an error when it came to the positive or negative integer. So it's essential that you guys go back and check these problems, plug these numbers back in, and look back to see if maybe you made an error while doing this. Alright, we're getting to the fun part. The part where you guys take out that piece of pencil and paper and you guys are going to try these on your own. Your two problems will be 6e equals 36, and on this side, negative 5t equals negative 25. Now I've thrown some negative integers in there for you guys to kind of see, to challenge you guys. Go ahead and pause this video right now, try these two problems, and we'll go over them very shortly. Okay, our first problem. Draw our line down the middle. I know that I need to get this by itself. It's multiplication, so I must divide. 6 divided by 6 is 1, or e. What I do to one side, I must do to the other side. 36 divided by 6 equals 6, so e should equal 6. If I plug this back in, 6 times 6 would equal 36. I know that I've done that problem correctly. Let's take a look at the second problem. Same thing, I start with my line down the middle. Negative 5t equals negative 25. So I'm going to divide by negative 5, which would leave me with t. I'm going to divide this side by negative 5. 25 divided by 5 is 5. A negative and a negative equals a positive, so my answer is going to be 5. Let's plug it back in. Negative 5 times a positive 5 is going to equal a negative 25. Again, if you didn't get these correct the first time, go ahead and try some other problems to help yourself understand it. If these made sense to you, try some brain busters to challenge yourself. Thank you for tuning in to Mr. Lainer's Math Extravaganza. I'm Mr. Lainer, and we'll see you next time.